Hello there, world of tankers. Welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Droodles Blitz, and in today's video, we'll be talking about three vehicles that will be receiving big changes and really just buffs in the next update of the game. Earlier today, I posted a video on these same three vehicles, the 116F3, Erich Concept I, and Lech Panzer 70. But I didn't know what the exact changes were. All I knew is that these vehicles were getting auto-loading guns and the alpha damage. But now, we actually know the exact values, DPM, and overall characteristics that the 116F3 and these other tanks will be receiving. So that also means I'm able to share my full opinion on whether I think these changes are good, bad for the game, and whether or not you should be keeping an eye out for these vehicles when they reach the store. The first things first, these changes should be going into the game next update, which is actually pretty nice. We're going to be getting a hold of these changes very quickly. I should also mention that the 116F3 is planned to be sold in crates fairly soon, probably within the next month or so. Because of that, it kind of makes sense. Wargaming is announcing these changes, I'm going to make my video, and then they're going to release crates for this tank. Works out perfectly for them, right? So, yeah, I'm going to be letting you know my feelings on the 116, if these buffs are actually going to make the vehicle good, or if you should still, kind of stay away from this tank. So what we're going to do, first of all, is fully equip our 116. We're going to put on improved armor, toolbox, all the normal things we would. We're going to take off a small food, which is this, and we're going to put on enhanced sandbags, and this is what we'd normally be looking like with the vehicle fully equipped. Now, it has two different guns. We're going to start off with the base gun. This is the 490 Alpha, which did get buffed. It has more damage per minute now, sitting at 2,500 base from, I think, the current 2,400-ish. So it did get a DPM buff. And it also got a dispersion buff. Its gun is now sitting at 0.328 dispersion versus 0.344. So it is a big difference, actually. It's about maybe a 15-10% dispersion buff. It's still nothing crazy. Even with refined gun, it is only halfway decent in terms of dispersion, and base it's still 0.385, making it one of the least accurate heavies still in the game. But you know what? It does have decent on-movement dispersion values now. As you can see, on-move, it's 3 out of 31. Hull traverse is 3 out of 31, but God, that turret traverse is still awful. 30 out of 31. Maybe it's more beneficial to run V-stabs, but it really doesn't change it much. It really doesn't. So I don't know, man. I really don't. V-stabs versus refined gun, it's a tricky decision to make, whether you want better on movement dispersion or I don't know. We're really gonna have to see what happens with the vehicle. But apart from that, nothing else really changed for the 490 Alpha. It got slight buffs in terms of its accuracy and overall DPM, but that's it. How about the other gun? See, Wargaming has now given this an auto reloader. Yes, this will be the first Chinese auto reloader in the game. As we can see, it's not going to feature a crazy amount of DPM, 2,117, quite a bit less than the Tier 10 Swedish heavy, the Kron. Now, this vehicle is going to have 3 shells. It's going to have shell 1, 12.84 seconds, and then shell 2 is 11.01, and shell 3 is 9.17. Now, we can actually pull out our calculator really quick and see what the 12.84 second reload is going to look like. So if we do 60 divided by 12.84, that's going to give you 4.67 rounds a minute. Multiply that by the 420 alpha. So on single shot, you're going to have about 2,000 DPM, and then most effective, you're going to have 2,100 DPM. As you can see, it really doesn't make a difference which shell you shoot, because this is 12.84 seconds on shell 1, and if we do 9.17 plus the 2.73 second intraclip, it's basically around 12 seconds. So it's not going to make a difference what shell you shoot, apart from 2. You definitely don't want to use that shell as your main reload. But if you dump your clip or you don't, it's not going to change your DPM all too much, which is good. However, your DPM's so bad already that the Kron is always going to be more effective on its overall damage per minute. Intraclip is quick, though. It's only a 2.73 second intraclip, which means that you can deal a total potential of 1,260 damage in 5.4-ish seconds. That is actually really nice. Now, something that is important to see is the penetration. How much pen do we have on this vehicle? Well, the standard is 270. And the premium is a really lackluster 356. I actually expected the pen to be a lot better, especially because the other gun is 384 millimeters of pen. So yeah, there's a big difference there. But one of the other really important things is the gun handling. And what exactly are we working with? Well, with refined gun, we are sitting at 0.34. Is that really the case? 0.34. Wow, yeah, though that's pretty bad. That still makes this awful. Actually, in fact, with V-stabs, it's over 0.4 dispersion. That makes this one of the least accurate guns in the game. In fact, if we take a little bit of a closer look, we can see that they have not changed any of the gun handling values, and the gun is actually worse on its base dispersion. I was really hoping that this gun was going to feature better accuracy values, but it doesn't. So, yeah, I'm not sure what to say, guys. I mean, it's an autoloader, it's an auto-reloader, and it has reactive. And that's the big advantage you're going to have over something like the Kron. You do have reactive, which means you got a boatload of health to work with. You also do have a decent top speed at 42 kilometers per hour. So there are advantages, but if you gave me the option of this gun or a Kron, I would pick the Kron every day of the week. This tank only has 6 degrees of gun depression. Its armor is very, very minimal. I mean, we can see it here. This thing is really, I mean, it looks really good until you load gold. And the moment you load gold, you're like, oh yeah, no, that's not great. That's about 330 millimeters thick. If you're using gun depression, it's still only about 330. You can cut through that. They did buff the turret a bit, but it's still not great, is what I will say, especially because this is only 356 mils a pen. So in general, I still think the 116 F3, it's going to be mid, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see how the auto-reloading gun works. I can tell you, though, that accuracy is god-awful, and it might ruin the fun. Next, we have the Erich Concept I. Now, this vehicle might be a little bit more fun, and that's because it's going from a 380 alpha gun, which does have pretty good values, as you can see. Good DPM. Its accuracy is pretty good at 0.277. Honestly, this tank looks really, really strong with its current capabilities here. But, man, this thing's going to have an auto-loading gun with 2300 DPM and 500 damage per shot. Now, I'm most interested in the accuracy. And, you know what? It's not good, but it's not awful. It's 0.323, which is better than the Sheridan and T92E1, if I'm not mistaken. Its on movement, it's bad, but it's not the worst I've ever seen, especially when you compare it to something like the 116 F3. Man, this thing's going to be a beast. So in 5 seconds, it's able to deal a potential of 1,000 damage. And how much damage does a high explosive do? 600. Okay, so the HE doesn't have a crazy damage increase, and the heat probably is 400. Yeah, 420. Wow, it has pretty good pen, 305. That makes it one of the better pen value mediums in tier 9 as well. So it's not going to struggle in pen. It's not going to struggle in damage per minute. And this thing's going to chunk. I mean, 500 damage per shot. If you think about it, a T57 Heavy has a 5-second interclip, right? Because it has 3 shells. So it goes bam, bam, and then bam. And in that time, it does 1,200 damage. This tank has basically the same clipping time. It's the same 5 seconds, and you deal 1,000 damage in a medium. Wargaming has also decided to buff the armor on this vehicle, and when I mean buff, I mean they actually gave it a big armor increase. If we're running enhanced, we can see that it's over 248 millimeters on the turret. So if you're using gun depression and you poke a ridgeline, if you stick that turret up, you can actually get some pretty good bounces. I mean, you can see that's over 306 now. It's not going to be crazy, but you will get bounces with this vehicle, and that's a fact. So, yeah, I'm going to be honest. I think the Erich Concept I might be one of the strongest and maybe even overpowered tier 9s after these changes. That's going to be really scary. The final vehicle we have is the Lech Panzer 70. This vehicle is still going to feature its previous gun, which, I'll be honest, is pretty mid. Its DPM is average, 340 damage per shot. Nothing too special about this tank. But it is now going to have an autoloader, which gains damage per minute, now sitting at 2,603. And not only that, it's going to deal 260 damage per shot, which is a clipping potential of 780. And it's going to deal all of that damage in 4 seconds. Yeah, that's crazy fast. This thing is going to be a beast. Now, again, I want to see the gun handling. Dispersion, great. On move, best in class. Hull traversing and turret traversing is still pretty good. This is going to be an accurate gun, and with that interclip, And the fact that it's got one of the goofiest armor profiles in the game, this thing actually might be kind of nasty. I'm really excited about all of these changes, and now that we have a better idea of what's going on, I can actually voice my opinions. The Lech Panzer 70 looks great. Erich Concept I, man, I don't know why they had to give it an autoloader. Should have just given it a 500 alpha gun and called it a day. I know why they did this. On Left it has a big alpha gun, on PC it has a big alpha gun, and now they're giving it on Blitz a big alpha gun. I get it. But why do we need to make it an autoloader, bro? I don't understand that. Either way, this thing's going to be really scary. And then we have the 116 F3, which, I don't know. It looks like the armor has gotten stronger. I will say that. But it's still going to be interesting to see exactly what happens. Something that is interesting is that Wargaming buffed its side armor by 1mm, which I guess does make it now an auto ricochet for 120mm guns, which is nice. But yeah, that turret armor still isn't great. I wish it was a bit better, but either way, we'll see. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.